WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Cardhu 14-year-old 2021 special release from Diageo, 55.5% ABV. Over here in Germany, I'm paying about 134 euros. Over in UK, they're paying about 114 pounds. And up over in other places like the Netherlands and Ireland, and so they're paying about 150 euros for that. Amazing how the different prices actually happen here. I just don't get that. From country to country, to place, hey, I would just think there'd be one standard price for all of Europe. No, that's never the case, especially with big companies like Diageo. So what do we have here? We have refill American oak and we have ex-wine casks. Now, if you ask me, I don't see much of a red hue at all in here, but hey, who knows? All right, so this was distilled in 2006. Beautiful, beautiful little can here, right? The tin. So the tube. And it was bottled 2021. So now on the back of the bottle, we do have a tiny little bit of a story. It says here, so as our fable goes, upon a hill of blackened rock grew a mysterious tree with scarlet blossoms of irresistible charm. Their sweet aroma of honeycomb and spice was so alluring. It transformed the dark hill into lush abundance. Where cinnamon petals had fallen, a distillery took root. The spellbinding scent filled the air, infusing Cardhu with its distinctly enchanting character. Yay, the story. Well, not true. It's a fable. So, if you want truth, go to this book here. The Malt Whiskey book 2022 is what I now have. And what we have is basically John Cudding. He applies for a license for a distillery named Cardhu in the year 1824. So, and then he dies 22 years later, and his wife, Helen, and their son, Louis, takes over. Well, Louis dies 30 odd years later, and his wife, Elizabeth, takes over. So Cardhu is the distillery of the women taking over and doing what they have to do there. All right, so, and then basically 60 years after the first distillery was built, a new distillery in 1884 was built to replace the old. And then along came 9 years later, Johnny Walker, and bought the entire package and purchased Cardhu for £20,000 and 20,500 pounds. Good. Very interesting enough that Johnny Walker, that was their first distillery they ever bought. They used to be a grocery store, basically. They were doing a lot of blending. They needed whiskey. Cardhu was the place to go. So, very interesting that actually in the year 1908, the name reverts to Cardou, C-A-R-D-O-W, didn't know that. And it took a little bit until 1981 that it actually went back to Cardhu. So, Cardhu is one of the lead malts here in the Johnny Walker blends. And also it's one of the lead malts for Diageo as a single malt. It's second best-selling, second best-selling malt in the world for Diageo. Number one is Singleton, which is, I think, very unfair because it's 3 distilleries with one brand. Depends on what country they sell it to. So Cardhu, in my heart, is the best-selling single malt of Diageo. So they use it in the blend. They use it in the single malts. Actually, if you take a look at the list of the top 10 single malt brands of the world, this is 8. So very, very well done. And they're running at full capacity, 24/7, 300 some odd days a year. So they can't do 365 because they need to do maintenance and so on, but they do produce the maximum capacity, about 3.4 million liters here. So that means they actually do have a fermentation time of 75 hours, which they can keep constant all year round. There are no weekends where it's longer, and so on and so on. All right, so I don't talk about Cardhu very often because I don't actually like their core standard range. I used to have a Cardhu 18. It was okay, a little bit too expensive for what I had. I had a Cardhu Amber. Don't know. There are a couple little things here where I really wasn't. It was, yeah, okay. We had the Amber Rock and we had the Gold Reserve. Yeah, that was 2014. So what happened was Cardhu. Diageo decided, that was in the year 2002. Hey, let's change the whiskey coming out of the distillery. And it's no longer called single malt. Let's call it pure malt. All right, today blended malt. Think of Johnny Walker 15-year-old green label. And they actually mixed it with other distilleries, so it was actually a blended, vatted malt. And of course, the whole industry went, no, you can't do that. And so 2 years later, Diageo withdraws the Cardhu Pure Malt. Ooh, scandal, scandal, scandal. All right, good. Enough of that. I don't talk about Cardhu very much at all because I don't have any real Cardhu. Question of the day. What is your favorite Cardhu whiskey? So I'm going to compare it here with something from a independent bottler from Scotland called Lady of the Glen. So this is their Tanninic. This is a 15-year-old with 53.2% ABV and had a finish in a ruby port cask. It's not the same as a red wine, but I didn't have anything else close enough to that. And I haven't had this for a while, so I thought, why not? Good price. Independent bottler, 99 euros, 15 years old Tanninic. Over here we have 14-year-old Big Boy, special release from Diageo, and 139-ish, at least for me here in Germany. So on the color, you do notice this is very light, and this is a little bit darker. Both of these are, this says natural color, this says natural cask strength, but there's not a single mention of the bottle or here on the tube of being actually here natural color. Diageo, please put it on there. That's what we want. 55.5% on the nose. I don't get very much red wine, to be honest. I do get a trickle of maybe a little bit of possibly strawberries. I get a lot of barley sweetness. I get a tiny little bit of almonds. I get some vanilla. But I don't get much more. This is not a whiskey where I go, wow. Oh, look, typical Cardhu. It's not a wow whiskey for me. I visited the distillery 2019 before the renovations. I hope everything looks a lot better and is a much better visitor experience. When I was there, I had the feeling I was in an old farm shop. Creaky floors and so on. The lady that did the tour and showed me around was very nice. But everything felt like it had been set up in 1984 and hadn't been changed since then. That was 2017, so it was like 30 years. Much more aromatic, much more of that fruitiness going on here. A much stronger dram. This dram is a little bit as if I'm listening through music through a lot of cotton would be in my ears. Is it bad? No. But is it wow? Also no. So on the Masters of Malt website, the tasting notes here would be floral, grassy notes, apples, honey, and sweet barley. A drop of water brings out the creaminess. I don't know if we can smell creaminess or not, but I'll do this drop of water when I taste it. Cheers. There's a light bitterness in here. There is strawberries. There is a little bit of red berries in here. But There's a little bit of pepper towards the end as well. It's not the greatest whiskey in the world. This is a solid C whiskey for me. Now I'm going to change this whiskey into a C plus B minus whiskey by adding some water, bringing it down from 55.5% down to about 48%. I know the geeks out there are like, Jason, you wuss. I am not a cask strength fanatic. I'm a flavor fanatic. And the flavor here is much better, my personal opinion, of 48%. On the nose, a little bit more of the fruitiness and not just that barley sweetness. It really doesn't pop on the nose. This pops. This is fantastic. A beautiful, beautiful whiskey. This is rare, very a little reluctant, a little bit introvert. It's there, but it's really not in your face. Very subtle. But on the flavor, very nice. I get orange blossoms. I get a little bit of floral moment. Get honey. Get that strawberry with shortcake and a tiny little bit of like whipped cream on top. Very, very well done. It's a delicate type of whiskey. This is not an overpowering type of whiskey. This is elegant. This is, with water, it's harmonious. Without water, that alcohol's fighting the sweetness. Tiny little of a white pepper, maybe even a ginger moment towards the end here. A good vanilla sweetness towards the end with maybe a little bit of apricots. Apricot peach moment there. Well done. But you have to work for it. You have to discover this whiskey. You have to spend a little bit of time with it. And then you'll figure out the secrets. If you just, not mine, nothing for me, then you won't discover the secrets of this whiskey here. So in this golden malt, white grapes, didn't get the white grape, and lychee, don't get the lychee aromas, frolic with melodious fruits. I've never heard melodious with fruits. All right. Fruits and meadow flowers. As I said, it was a little bit of floral. I was thinking rose petal moment, but that's fine. Composed in wine, seasoned casks. It has a heather, honeyed sweetness. Ooh. Good. With fragrantly. Wow, that's not an adverb I've ever used before. Fragrantly, it charms with a creamy, smooth texture and perfume taste, enriched by lush red berries. Ooh. Pinch of white pepper, got that. Like a single bloom, this Cardhu is remarkable to behold. All right, very good. Take out the words in there, the white pepper and a little bit of this and that. You get those tasting notes I almost got as well. Just to have a comparison real quick, our Tanninic here with our port wine finish. So much more flavor. The volume has been turned up to 7. This is like a 3 to 4. You have to search, you have to go, you have to find, you have to actually and travel a little bit to get there. This is automatically there. As you push the button, bing, it opens up most of the aroma profile. Very nice. I like this better. This is a little subtle. Interesting. A little bit like Cardhu itself. So the question of the day was and is, what Cardhu bottling expression can you recommend? I hardly ever see anything independently bottled. I don't think I've ever seen anything independently bottled. And from the core range, the, what was it, the 12, the 15, the 18, the amber, and the gold reserve or whatever, I must admit, I think the 18 was the one I was okay with, but it was way too expensive. But hey, we're 14 years and it costs even more, about 50% more actually. Oh well, times have changed. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell others, and maybe even share this video with people who have not yet discovered us, or me, or this channel. All the best. Bye-bye.